Saya lang, kanin, saya lang. Kailan ba? Nah, iya, ada awan ini aku. Awan ini saya lang. Okay. Mati kamay.
Okay, folks, we got the boat flipped. And this is the back end here, how it looks. See right here? We got a big box back here. So what I'm thinking, and I've got a couple of ways to think about this. I thought I might just lay a 3/8 on here and run it all the way back to here. So it'd be one step like this. The thing is about one step like this is this before was at the what they call it, the draft was up to here and was kind of splashing in here sometimes. So that would always be wet. And I don't know that I want that. So what I may do is try to do some kind of extension from the second step out. The second step is just about 3/8 of an inch or a half an inch higher than this edge, which I'm not sure how to fix it. Well, there's a way to fix it to make it go straight out and all the way back. I could even drop it down, angle it down. That way we'd get more watershed. If water got on it, it would angle down some. But those are my options. All right, new day. We are putting in the piers, the vertical supports for the back step. And so we marked them all. See all the blue marks and lines and everything, the tops and the bottoms and all that. And then on the outside, we had to do the same thing. We had to mark the tops and bottoms so we know where to nail. So we know where to put the nails, because we got to nail in through the sides into these guys. And then we wedge this piece of wood here between these two, like that, when we nail. And that keeps everything in place, so that when we nail, we don't push these out away from the side. And we'll epoxy this one, and we'll epoxy this one. We'll wedge this in between there, and then we'll nail these two, and then we'll move down to the next one, and then the next ones, like that, in that order. Okay, folks, I said we would wedge this in here. Well, that's exactly what we did. See, we put this in here and wedge it between here and here. We got a little spacer here that we need because this is slightly short. So we put this little spacer in here and wedge it. That holds these against the side while I nail here and here and get them so they don't try to push out. Now we're cleaning the extra epoxy off, because this extra epoxy that we have oozing everywhere will go onto this next one, these next two. See right here and there. So these are the next two that we're going to do. Right here and there. Ta-da. Ta-da, ta-da. So we got to get all this extra epoxy off of here and put it on our board. And then we'll take that epoxy and epoxy these. There's no waste. We don't just, waste not, want not, folks. That's how we play the game. The big game here. So I'm going to go to town, put an epoxy on numero dos, while she supplies me with the excess paradise. Out. Okay, people, look at that. That's our little witch's brew. Our waterproof brew. Of course, again, we got lacquer thinner and epoxy mixed up and dropped in there. We jumped a little wad about smaller than my palm into not much lacquer thinner, because we don't have much to do. We're going to do the bottom of this step, because that's underneath there, and if we mount it on there, we can't see to be sure everything gets covered in waterproofing, and a boat has to be done 100%. And then we got our little guys here all nailed in. You saw earlier us wedging them up. They're in place and ready for us to, once this is done, mount it there. All right, today we're back. Yesterday we waterproofed everything, all the unwaterproofed. Well, we attached these supports to the side with nails, of course. You can see the nails here, and epoxy, and waterproofed these and the underside of the stairs, the first step of the stairs. We did the underside there. So now we have to epoxy coat this bottom, because this is where the gas tank's set, and if you just waterproof it, epoxy primer it and epoxy enamel it, the scratching can scratch through that and get down to the wood, and then your wood gets wet. Okay, folks, so anyway, we got to sweep this back part out and get it all clean, because you can see it's full of sawdust and dust and dirt and whatever collects. So she's getting all that swept up. And then we can put the epoxy. That's got the waterproofing on there. We waterproof everything no matter what. And then we do whatever the next preparation is. And on a deck, a floor, something that's going to get subject to a lot of abrasive behaviors, like gas tanks sliding around, anchors dragging back and forth, whatever, we got to protect it. Because on the... Alrighty, folks, we got a after shot now. So there it is. That's all the non-sag epoxy. This is probably one of my better jobs, but it's an easier job too, because everything is flat. It's level. We shimmed up that side so it wasn't leaning like this, where the whole sheet will try to slide. So beware of that. If there's the slightest bit of unevenness or unlevelness, actually, the gray epoxy, the standard stuff, will really slide, and like water, or like Jello, or like a gel of some kind. But this non-sag, it slides much slower. But we leveled it, and I think we got the incline pretty good here. This is slightly lower than that, but not enough to really get this epoxy flowing. But we went up to the side of here, got it on the sides here. Thought about on the top, and I probably should have put it on the top, but we'll have an opportunity to put it on the top when we do our next epoxy job. We ran out of epoxy, but we ran out of the epoxy that we mixed. Hey everybody, I had a brainstorm, and what it was is about the under part of this first step, how high it was, and is it useful for anything. And as we had designed it here, it was only about 7 or 8 inches high from here to here. Our gas tank needs 11 inches, so it needs to be up to about right here, okay, higher. So you can just slide the gas tank in here, because otherwise this back, probably third of the, or more, a little bit more than a third, is not useful space. So now we got to add, and also our gas jugs. Our gas jugs are 11 inches tall. The tank is 11 inches tall, or maybe it's 10, around 10, but you need a little bit of, room in there. And then our gas jugs are 11 inches tall. They're an inch taller than the tank, but again, you need a little room. So I'm going to 12 inches so that our gas jugs, that are 5-liter jugs that we have for additional fuel, can stand up and slide back here. They'll slide back here, and I can put probably, at least 10 liters of gasoline here, unless I turn it sideways, and then I can put 15 liters of gas, additional gas, under here with the gas tank here. So, and it's out of the way, totally out of the way. There's nothing in the way. The gas tank is 18 inches long, so from here to about here is 18 inches, and that's okay, because that's where the gas cap is, so it's not obstructed by being under here. And the fuel tank clip-on, the fuel line hose clips in right here too, so that'll be right where you can get to it. So everything's going to work out fine if we go up to 12 inches, and that sets it right here. And that changes our 2x4, because we have a 2x4 that goes from the front, splitting this here so that we can actually physically connect this piece to this piece, sturdily. And so we got to do another redesign of this back end so it's functional. And okay, folks, we are now cleaning the excess ooze of the epoxy out after we added our 4-inch lift. You know, like if you have a 4x4 truck and you want to put a lift kit on it, boom, that's what we just did. 4-inch lift kit. And so our back step, again, as I said earlier, it's so our gas tank will fit under here, and it's another inch taller than our gas tank. Well, it's actually an inch taller than a gas tank, but then it's another inch taller than our gas jugs, because our gas jugs are 11 inches high. So we need this to be 12 inches high. And so that's what we're up to here. Okay, people. This may be the final design / mock-up here. Okay, so this end here is now higher. We got 12 inches from the deck here to the underside here. Plenty of room for the gas tank and the gas jugs that we Okay, folks, what I did, you can see, I've come up with a design. See right there? You see the blue marks there? Yeah, so we'll probably put another piece of where's the camera? 3/8 inch there. So I took this piece of wood here that is a curve, and I simply laid it on here like that, and then drew the line. And just kind of put it at a position where where I can't get my camera lined up because I'm using the wrong hand, and then came up with that. So I'll cut that out of the 2x4. I'll make. Okay, people, I think we got them. These aren't fine-tuned. Okay, this is our first cut, and then we gotta do some grinding because I gotta, like I said, I gotta take this sharp edge off all the way along here, and here, of course, and here, and here. I've done these. These are nice and smooth and friendly and round. So you bump that, you're just going to bump it. I'm going to cut you. Okay, so I think we got pretty much what we need cut. And the next thing we got to do is do some grinding and round it. And then after that, we will epoxy and nail. All right, everybody. We just got canceled by the battery. We ran out of juice. Got down to, was it 12 volts? It went down to 10 volts, just like super fast. But I got a couple of these. Well, I got these ground. These ones grounded and rounded here, smooth and everything. This one here, which is, half of it, and this bottom one here, all rounded and smooth and user friendly. Got this one all done here, rounded. This one too, all rounded and smooth and shaped relatively well. We'll shape it. The final shape will be the epoxy. Once we lay it on there, we can get it shaped. Got this front step here grounded. I don't know where I got that, unless you're well grounded. But anyway, yeah, this front edge here is nice and smooth. This back edge here is nice and smooth, but I need to get the under side of these too, because when you reach your hand in here, you don't want to hit that sharp edge. So I started grinding on this one, and that's when we ran out of power right there. And I need to also grind this edge here too. This is on the bottom of the step, because you're still going to be reaching your hand in there. You don't want to hit that sharp edge. Scratch yourself. Then you know what comes? Sharks, folks. Blood in the water and sharks. And we're not interested in that. So we are done for now. We can't use any power. I can't even mix my paint. Well, yeah, I can mix the paint, honey.
Also.
If we want to do the epoxy primer on the bottom of the steps there, we can do that, because my drill is battery operated. So and I can mix the primer up. I don't have to mix it by hand. So I think we'll do that next, so we don't ruin our day. And again, we're threatened by rain, but right now I think it's moving somewhere else. Not here. It was sunny just a minute ago. Now it's partly, you can see the sun a little bit through the clouds. So we're going to keep hoping that it stays dry for us while we do our epoxy primer on the bottoms of these. All this stuff here can't be primered yet because it hasn't been waterproofed yet. That'll be a whole nother step. So we got to get all these off and pull the step out. There we go. Take these. All these are shim. No, yeah, that can stay there. That can stay there. Yeah. All these are our shims, and the thing that right goes here to hold that first step on. Now this here, I gotta put the camera down and pick this guy up, flip it upside down, and we will begin to epoxy primer that one, and we may epoxy primer the bottom here and some of this other structure. We'll see how the rain and weather and stuff goes, see if we can knock that out. So as long as it's been waterproofed, which these have not been, so no, we can't do these. We can't epoxy primer these. Those haven't been waterproof, but the bottom we could. So we'll see. We'll figure that out. Play it by ear, folks. We're playing it by ear now. Paradise out. Okay, we have done as much as we could do with the grinder, and now we are waterproofing because our lithium ion battery, I've been using it for like a week and I haven't charged it, and it finally just got down to 10 volts and said I give up, which they do at 10 volts. So that's where the BMS shuts it off, battery management system. So anyway, so now we can do our epoxy lacquer thinner waterproofing. So I got everything set up so that we can paint it, all that on, all these pieces here, and then we'll do a couple of coats, and we'll start here and work our way down, and then we'll come back here, flip, well no, we'll do a second coat and work our way down. And because this is epoxy, it'll dry relatively quickly, and then at some point we'll be able to flip them and do the other side because they'll be sufficiently dry that we can flip it without worrying about sticking too much to these little prop-ups that we have here, things propping it up. So that's the theory, that's the plan, and we're going to go for it now. So what I'm doing right now, when I cut these the wavy doodads, you see all the rough dust? Well, I got to sand that off before I epoxy waterproof it, because those will get hard like little sharp spikes, and they'll stab you. So we want this stuff smooth because it'll harden that stuff that looks like little tiny spikes. See it? See them all? There you go. You got a good picture there. Nasty, like a porcupine, like a cactus. Little tiny things on a cactus. If you ever lived in the Southwest and touched a cactus, they got those little things, and you'll never get them out of your body wherever it touched, because there's a million. So anyway, that's my sander there. I've done that one, so that one's good. This one's next. So Paradise is going to town sanding. Paradise out. Hey everybody. Okay, we've got a couple of coats on the top side of all of our stuff, and you can see it's kind of whitish instead of woodish looking, more white. Now this one here we flip, so I got to do the other side of this one here. So this one, and I joined them again so that they would be, so I could paint them all at one shot, in one shot. And I got these out of order. This one here, and this one I think we go here. This one might go here. Yeah, now they fit snugly, and I can just roll it on without having to do one at a time. I can do all four, and the paint will also kind of get down in between them and get that edge, which my wife Lindy just painted the edges. She's doing the edges and I'm doing the big surfaces because she got the paintbrush. And she's also doing the back of the boat there where we added those new little 4-inch 2x2s to raise the back step. So anyway, we are, see you over there doing that. Okay, well, I got to do this because this timing, 4 o'clock, and the rain keeps saying it's going to come, but it's not. But we got to get rolling because we need to get this stuff dry enough that we can store it in the boat and it doesn't stick to stuff. Which this is epoxy, so it does time and dry pretty quickly. So that's good news for us, folks. So anyway, I'm going to do that one. That one was dry enough to flip, and and then I'll move on to this one, this one, this one, those ones, and then come back here and repeat the cycle. And then after I get down to the end here, these ones might be dry enough that we can start putting them in the boat and getting out of here before the rain hits. Paradise. Look at that. You got the panorama here. Paradise out. All right, folks, I'm going to show you how I actually put this stuff on here. And you can just slop it on because it's waterproofing. It's the first coat of everything, so all the other primers and epoxy enamels and that will go on top of this. So it doesn't matter. It's not a beauty contest here. This is just make sure it's thick and rich and plenty of, I just got it rolled it around in there. You roll on the bottom because the epoxy will settle down. And so you have to all your brush strokes and roller strokes have to stir it up from the bottom and keep it stirred up. And it goes on like this, like it's like water, because it's just epoxy thinner and epoxy mixed. Yeah. And so we're just rolling it on. You see it's turning the wood a little more white, or beige actually, because this is non-sag epoxy, which is a beige color. You can use any epoxy you want. It doesn't have to be non-sag. I'm just using non-sag because that's what we got. Get another roller here. It's got a lot of liquid in it, so in the tube inside of your roll, there'll be a lot of this stuff load up, and you're gonna drip it all over the place and make a mess. But anyway, here we go. Okay, now after I get this coated once, good one, and you can tell how much you got on there because it'll look more white or won't look as white. And you want it more white, of course. You want a nice thick rich coat of epoxy waterproofing, epoxy lacquer thinner, and whatever that word is. Here we go. Get some more. Finish this thing off. And then I have to separate these, of course, because it's going to try to glue itself, together. So I'll reach under there with my finger and just lift them apart and separate them. But this just lets me paint them all at one time without having to do individuals while the paint's dripping off of the one end of the roller, because the roller's wider than the wood that you're painting if we were going one strip at a time. And you can just slop it on there any way you want. It doesn't matter at all. It's important that it's on there nice and rich and thick. There we go. That's one coat. You can also hang your brush like this instead of leaving it in there, and it'll drip and drain whatever stuff you have. Now I just take my finger under here and just slide it over on my little setup jig here. As long as they don't touch, we're golden. See, now they'll dry, the edges will dry, all the sides will dry. And then now I got to do those. I got to flip these guys. Alrighty, we completed the epoxy waterproofing, epoxy lacquer thinner waterproofing. We got it all done. Well, folks, we finished the boat work just in time. We just came to this place here. This is a food park. It's a Queens food park here. But we just got out of the car and parked it and walked here, and then just here comes the downpour. So, perfect timing on the boat work. It's just flooding down. Flooding, my friend. Yeah, so we got the boat all covered, tarpaulined up. I hope my wife did it good. And then tomorrow, hopefully there's no more rain during the work day. And we'll do some more stuff. So anyway, look at that. Rain, rain, rain. It's okay at night. That's fine with me. Paradise out. All right. today we are finally going to put the back on here. This back right here. This is the back 3/8 plywood. I was asking myself if I want to put any structure across here, and I don't think I do. I just don't see that being necessary for this, but hopefully it'll be good. I mean, I don't have any structure here. Well, I actually have a 2x4 going across there, but so there is some structure somewhere, but that's just for the connection between this and the add-on side skirt that's over there getting ready to be epoxy primered. And what we're going to do, we waterproofed this, I think, yesterday, along with some other miscellaneous stuff, or the day before yesterday. Yesterday was Sunday, and we had Lindy needed to do laundry, and so we kind of, it was a good day to work, though. That's the thing. You don't want to miss too many good days. Oh, and we had another earthquake last night, a 6.0. It's about 1 a.m. in the morning. So we've had a 6.9. We've had a 5.4. We've had maybe another 7.2 or 7.4 down in Mindanao. We've had a 6.0 last night. And then since the first 6.9 earthquake in Bogo, a little more than a week ago, last that I heard, the count was 9,000 aftershocks, which is kind of wild. A lot of aftershocks. We don't always feel them, because an aftershock can be just like a little tiny bumping, and the seismograph reads it, but not me or you. So anyway, we're still rocking and rolling. We're in good shape. So far, so good. And he's getting some water so we can mix up some epoxy and epoxy this and nail it into here. Alrighty, folks, we got the back attached. We still have to epoxy solid across the back of these and the top of the stairs and all that too. So any of our, all this whole back has to be solid epoxy, like 1/8 of an inch thick or so. And we got the inside here done along here. We have to epoxy this too, pretty solid. And then after that, then we can go to work on our epoxy primer stuff. Alrighty, we got the back on back here. We epoxied it with a thick layer, maybe 1/8 inch, 3/16 thick, if we can get it there. And again, it's all hand done, so we have to get our hands wet. We layer it on there with I have a big wide epoxy blade, and I basically go down in stripes like that. Get it on there, smooth it out going this way to even it out as best I can. And then I have to get my hands wet and get this back wet and rub it in and try to smooth it as much as I can. All right, folks, we are back after the epoxy. Well, closing off the back end and doing all the epoxy work on it. So I think it turned out good. Here, pretty solid. And of course, you'll have wrinkles and some sags because that's just the nature of epoxy. The bottom here, where I'm running my finger, did good. It didn't drip. Have like long drips going down. Nothing at all. So apparently, we massaged it to the correct hardness or thickness. And now we will epoxy primer all this stuff that we epoxy. We're going to cover our epoxy here with epoxy primer. No sharp edges, no sharp stuff. That's the whole thing, because our gas cans go back here, and as I've said before, we don't want to have any sticky things sticking our gas cans and wearing holes in the side. There's a little tiny sticky thing, but kind of on the side there. Little tiny, but that we look pretty good. And we got the inside epoxy here to harden and toughen this back. Because like I said, we could have put a board here, but I just didn't see the necessity there, and we'll just you know, we got the epoxy on there. It's like, I don't want to say the word bulletproofing, but in a way, I don't know what kind of proofing it's doing. Alrighty, folks, we are now epoxy primering the stuff that we can, not the stuff that we're going to put epoxy to the surface of, because I don't know how good epoxy sticks to epoxy primer. Epoxy enamel should stick to it great, but I don't know how epoxy does, so we're not doing that. We're just leaving all the places where we're going to adhere something to using epoxy with only the waterproofing coating, which we have done on all of our boats. So anyway, we got the stuff all mixed up, and I'm putting it on there. I got to do this whole inside, except again where we're going to put the epoxy stuff. These are all going to get primered, all this stuff here, and these primering these ones. Yeah, these are little side swiggles, swiggles, whatever you want to call them. She puts them 2 by 2 because her paintbrush is too wide, and so you just roll it once and you get both of them. Honey, don't move it yet. Well, no, you're going to put more paint on it. They can be just real close like that, and that's fine. Just with the little hairline between them. That's fine. You don't have to touch anything. You're good. You're good. Okay, so anyway, we're only doing the outsides of a lot of this stuff because on the inside there's going to be epoxy going to the boat. So, okay, folks, we got the first coat on back here, and of course you see all the parts that didn't get paint, and those are the parts that are going to be epoxied to. So, yeah, so you can tell. Remember, that looks like it's epoxied, but it's not. See that? How that all of a sudden, you see how it goes into epoxy look? My camera is wigging out, folks. And then we got all these pieces here. We put 2 coats on, or at least enough coats that you can't see through it. I didn't. I need to do a little bit more on that one. And then we wait for it to get tacky, or actually not tacky to the touch, but it's tacky now. Wait till it gets touchable, and then we will go with the next 2 coats. And okay, we got it painted. We got all the coats on, like 4 coats roughly, 3.5, 4 when we ran out of paint, but everything's got nice thick epoxy primer on it on the sides that we want it on. And now it's about 4 o'clock. You can see my watch maybe without, if I can get it out of the glare and the little flashes of light. 4 o'clock. So at 5 o'clock we're going to let it dry for like an hour, and that's pretty good for epoxy to cure to something you can touch. I wouldn't grab it and try to smear it, because you probably could do that or leave a fingerprint in it, but about an hour is pretty good timing for there's a little worm. So that's like no, that's a praying mantis. Look at that, honey, a baby praying mantis. Oops, he just jumped. Where'd he go to? Anyway, you saw it first here. The tiniest praying mantis ever seen, ever recorded on YouTube. Right here. He's almost got stuck in the epoxy, except the epoxy is getting tacky, see? So lucky for him, epoxy, that was quick dry. Primer, he never got out of there. It had been gooey as all get out. So all these are done, and all the inside here is done. Nice thick coat all the way around, all the little nooks and crannies and everything. We got her all done. Okay, we got the this is the next day after the primer, but you notice those little yellow spots in the hole here? What happened, I believe, is that the epoxy had only been on there for 1 day, and we put it on thick, the layer, like 1/8 of an inch thick or so. But when you put it on thick like that, it bubbles. It'll bubble up like, I don't know. Yeah, you can see these. See like this? That's a bubble. And inside of there, there's a little air pocket. However, that bubbles when the epoxy's on there, not the epoxy primer. So we put the epoxy primer on here the next day, but apparently it hadn't 100% cured, which should take 96 hours. So of course, 12 hours is not 96. And so it was apparently still venting gas, and it bubbled up. You can see one there. I think that's a bubble. It bubbled up the epoxy primer, and so I had to cut all this out because it was all underneath there was just air, because it gassed. It's gassing and lifting this up. The same here and here and all these little spots here. So I took my knife and just cut around them and got that air out, because if you try to paint it, you're just painting the thing that's just going to chip off very soon. And this is an area where there's a lot of abrasion, feet and gas tanks. So what I did, I guess, again, I just peeled off the epoxy primer, and I'm just going to paint the epoxy enamel over that and put a pretty thick coat on it. Alrighty, folks, we have done the epoxy enamel on the underside of the first step. These little side 2x4 rails that are going to connect the lower part of the skirt to the upper part of the skirt to these things. 2 inches of this will be on, it will split that and it will nail. We didn't enamel those, epoxy enamel. We didn't epoxy enamel because we're going to put nails through those, and we don't want to epoxy enamel and then put nails through it because it just messes up the paint. And then we'd have to put epoxy on the nail head, and then we'd have to epoxy enamel over that. So, no, not going to do it. Not going to do it. So anyway, we got that one done, We got the inside back here done, and it looks kind of nice. The white, you can definitely tell the age has this one with the new white. Look at that. It looks like gel coat. That's the beauty of this epoxy enamel, is it looks like gel coat. And I got a leaf. Got a leaf in here, folks. Get that leaf out. Okay. And the thing about the epoxy enamel, you can put it on there, and and even if the surface is rough, it'll just fill in the low spots, and it'll lay out flat and kind of glassy. As you can see, all the reflections and stuff. You see. Okay, folks, this is not my boat. That's my boat. That's my boat, and that's my boat. Those are all the holes. We're at the Shade Tree Yacht Club, of course. But this is how they repair the fronts. See, when these things get all kind of tore up and beat up and rotten and stuff, they pop it off, and then they just put a new piece of plywood on like that. And then it's fancy. See? So he's going to finish this. He's going to put another piece here and make this little V thing, here to kind of like a splash guard to kind of keep it's a V like that, and the water hits it and goes off on the sides. So that's what they're doing, and they're continuously doing boat work here. All these boats are always getting worked on. Okay, folks, look what we're doing, huh? We got the back step on. We got the 2x4s on the sides all done. We got these little reinforcement, little side rails, handhold things done. We got, these are the 2x4s. We put them on here. They're, here, honey, move back. Yeah, you can see 2 inches above this here, because the 2 inches here goes onto the side skirt like that. Okay, and now we got this little guy here that goes on this little back piece, because we only had 48 inches of wood, so we made our little doodad here. Yeah, that's a lot of epoxy, and you don't need that much. You need to put some here. Put some here. Yeah, so we're gonna put that on there. I'm nailing into the sides here. So again, we're really close, but I can't get too far because I got stairs and stuff all blocked. Maybe I can climb up here, if that helps. There you go. So anyway, we just about got the back part on there. And this last little styling, little flipper, swervy, curvy, wavy thing, that's going to go on. And then we'll do the other side. The other side's not done yet. You can see it doesn't have the side skirt on. And then we also have the molding trim that matches that curving thing that so you have a little hand grip there like a stair. Stairs have a little handrail. Yeah, she's putting that on there. And I didn't get a vice grip. I mean a C-clamp. Here, put a C-clamp on there. Not too tight, just enough to hold it. And yeah, okay. And that C-clamp's handle will slide through there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. In the center. I would just be sure that everything's pushed up, and that you can actually see us add the little styling, last little flipper.
Is that enough here?
Yeah. We'll just grind it. Anything that sticks past, we'll just grind. We put it in the center. Right there. Tighten it down. That'll hold it there while we drive the nails in. Yeah, that's okay. You push it down while it... Got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's just snug. You don't tighten these too tight because it pushes all the epoxy out, and that's too tight. So you want to leave epoxy in there because epoxy is strength. Strong. It's stronger than the wood. So that's having a layer of epoxy is a layer of like steel, sort of, in there. So anyway, I'm nailing along the sides here. I got to finish this. I haven't got these nails in. Honey, you want to scrape this side because it's about to drip where you put your little piece in and squeezed it hard. And we got to get this ooze out here. See, it's oozing. So I better put the camera down, get back to doing that. And I got a nail here, this little section on here with little 1-inch nails because I don't have much thickness here, you see. Not much thickness here. I'll just nail it into where this molding is. See, this is the molding there. If you can, I don't know if you can see it, but anyway, this is like the handrail again. And we're going to have that molding go along here, inside and out, all the way back. For like a little grip thing that you can grab if you think you need to hold on. So Paradise out, honey. All right, people, this is how far we got. Today we got the side skirts on, and again that's wigging out my light meter a little bit, the white from the enamel. We got the side skirts on. Well, first of all, we put the back step on. That was step one, was put the back step on. Then we put the 2x4s on the side here so that we have something to attach our side skirts on. And then we attached our side skirts. Got them on here. And the thing we didn't do yet, we haven't got our upper stairs on here yet. We got two 2x4s wide here. That's a stair step. We got to put that on there tomorrow. And then after we get that on, then we can actually epoxy coat all this back stairs and step, because that gets a thick, A3/16 I told you before, epoxy coating. The other thing we need to do is grind. You see, we got some overhang here. Yeah, we got to cut these off, cut that off. So today we've got to put the stairs on here, which are those two 2x4s. And let's grab these, and you'll kind of get the picture as to what we're doing here. This one goes in between here. Looks like it's too wide. It is too wide because these may have leaned in some. Yeah. So we're gonna have to do some. We'll have to cut the ends of these off. Cut off the ends of these. But I did bring the saber saw in that reddish box there, so we'll just do a little 1/4-inch slice and we're good to go. But yeah, these stairs set on top of. Well, this won't fit in nowhere, but basically one goes here and one goes here. Flush with the front of this. This is the rear one because it's rounded on both sides. So this is the front one here. I got it backwards. It'll go here because it's only rounded on the top, this top edge is rounded and smooth. The top and the bottom is rounded because they're exposed, and they'll go there like that, and they'll of course drop down. But they have to be supported by these, because once you get out here, you have to have some wood here. This one might be too long. I might need to cut that one. I don't know. Do I have it butted back? Yeah. I'll probably have to take a hair off of that one. And this one here, we'll see once we get these trimmed. So anyway, we're putting these stairs on. First, we're putting these blocks on here so we can nail into here. We nail these into here, then we nail these into the block, both sides. And then of course come in through the side here with nails into these guys from both sides. And then the stair is done. So everybody, well, we're putting the stairs on now. And the issue we're having is, see these big heavy duty bronze nails? This is like a 3-inch nail, and it'll go into here, and it'll go in there about an inch and a quarter deep. But look at this. I'm bent every one I've tried to put in. This is red Lawaan. It's not mahogany. It's called Philippine mahogany, but it's not a true, mahogany. It's just that's a trade name they call it. But apparently, I'm hitting something so hard that I can't even get these nails through here. So I'm nailing it in through the ends here, closing it in like that, and then the epoxy is going to have to hold. I may drill. In fact, I will drill. I'll drill some holes down in here that these nails will go through, and get underneath here, and put some nails in here, because I just want to have nails in here. That's a good plan. But like I said, look at them. Every single one bends. I mean, you can't straighten it up or nothing. So anyway, I got the drill. I got the drill bits. Look at this. So anyway, we're going to clean up the epoxy drips, and then I'm going to get a drill and drill. Well, I got to cut these off with an angle grinder right here. Cut all these off here. And then I'm going to, like I said, drill some tapping holes through this 2x4. I'll stop right at this one. But yeah, this stuff's tough, baby. Tough. So anyway, here we go. We're almost done with this, except for the molding on the side, and that'll be easier, I'll have to say. Very nice. Oh. All right, everybody. We've got the back steps on, and it was a bit of a bear, because as you saw earlier, we were bending nails just trying to get them through this red Lawaan. And I've never seen red Lawaan is harder and less flexible, but it's usually, I mean, I can put nails in it, but I had to cut all the heads off, because see how the nails would bend? They would just bend, and they wouldn't go nowhere. You try to straighten them out, and you hit them one more time, they just bend. They weren't going in at all. Not at all, folks. So that's a little lesson about, and this is waterproofed. So the waterproofing hardens the outside also, and it soaks in. So there's a depth of hardness that is added to the red, and it would hit, I mean, it went like mahogany. I mean, it was so hard. And again, right there, there's another one somewhere. Oh, here's the other one right here. That one didn't even get as far as these two did before they bent. Yeah, it was nasty. So anyway, maybe I'll grind this up and use this in our copper coat, huh? This is actually bronze, not copper. Copper. Bronze is made with copper and tin mixture. Brass is made with copper and zinc. And zinc is highly corrosive, so you definitely don't use brass in a boat. A freshwater boat, you might can get away with it, but never a saltwater boat. Brass is not the material. And they got those brass valves and stuff. Yeah, don't put those in your boat thinking, oh, look, this is bronze. Well, maybe not. So anyway, we also got our side thingy bobbers done. Put them on here. Okay, So these are our sideways for the inside that I've trimmed down. See, that'll go like that. See that? And there's another one on the outside that goes the entire length. This one just has to be cut because we got stairs in between there and that other part at that end. Then with this end here, it goes right here, you see, to continue on with that, to right there. And then it follows out with that big heavy duty end there. And then on the side, what we're doing, we're leaving this little tail end on here. And the reason we're doing that, because we think it looks cool. See this here? See, this goes from right here, okay, right there. See, it's got the little molding thing. Goes on there, but see, on the end, it's different than the very other end. But we're leaving it there like that, because we think that looks kind of stylish. It's not, it's pure aesthetics. It's not anything that's useful. This part is useful where you can grab hold of here and grab hold of here where the other side will be. But yeah, so that is that piece there. So the whole piece here we're going to put on. We had to cut that one up there because the stairs intersected it. Okay, everybody. Yesterday we put the rails on, or the molding on, the wavy stuff, whatever you're going to call it, squiggly, wavy, like that. And I made a bunch of videos and stuff, but they were having a karaoke blast over there, and the music was so loud that I would have to overdub everything I said with, to mask their music with non-copyright music from YouTube. So we're not going to show those videos, because today we're doing the exact same thing, just on the other side. We would have got both of these done yesterday, except we had a flat on the car, or we had a low tire, and we looked and there was a screw stuck in it. We had to stop at a tire repair shop and get it patched. So they pulled the screw out and took the wheel off and patched it. Got to be careful too, because here they don't know, and a lot of folks don't even know, that you don't reverse the direction of the wheels rolling. So if you have a tire on your right side of your car, you don't put it on your left side, because it'll cause tread separation. Nobody knows that, and the tire companies tell you to rotate your tires left side to right side. No, you don't. You can go front to back on the same side, but you can't flip them. So I watch these guys here, because there's no training here on any pretty much job that people do. They figure it out on their own, or they just go with whatever they can figure out. But and they tried to jack the car up where the gas tank was, and I had to show them where the jack points are. The jack point on these import cars, all Japanese cars that I know of, and I don't know about SUVs, but regular, sedans, 2 doors, 4 doors, is the one is right in front of the rear wheel, and one's right behind the front wheel. And so I had to show them where to jack the car up at, or they would have, punched a hole in the gas tank. So you got to supervise everything that goes on here, because what they do and what you do, you may know more than they do, even though it's their job to know more than you know. Sometimes they know more, like my welder and stuff. He teaches me a lot of stuff, so it does go both ways. So anyway, we got it on here. Look at that. And we got the epoxy smoothly roller coastering right down there, like that, finishing out. And today we are going to do the other side. And again, we didn't finish this. We didn't do both sides because, again, we had to do the flat tire thing. We also epoxied over all of our nail heads here. Here, see that little epoxy to seal the water from going in where the nail punctures, and water can actually, seep in there. And so we epoxy over all. We countersink the nail heads, and then we put a little smear of epoxy on there, and that seals them. And then, of course, we're going to epoxy primer all this work that we're doing right now, because we got to primer this bare epoxy and all of our little epoxy patches, little nail head thingies. And we also have to epoxy these back steps with like an 1/8 inch thick or 3/16 inch thick layer of epoxy to make them just like this. This is an 1/8 inch or 3/16 inch thick on these sides there. So people put their foot on there or whatever. And anyway, and we got a good grip now, good handle, good hand, and it sturdies this up. Makes that plywood really tough. See, because right here it's 3/8 of an inch thick. Here it's 1 1/8 inches thick. So voila, big difference. Okay, this is the day after we epoxied. Well, we put the other side on and epoxied all the stairs, and to me they look pretty good. Now today we're going to epoxy primer, which this is epoxy primer here already on here. Honey, look at this side. It looks all like it needs to be washed. It looks like, yeah, maybe that's sawdust and stuff, honey. I bet it is from me grinding. So we got to paint everything here that has epoxy color on it. We also are going to put some cleats in. See these little cleats here? I've got 2 more of these in my inventory, and I ordered 2 more for the other hole. But I'm thinking we're going to put them here, somewhere along in here. Yeah. Everything here finished pretty nicely. I don't see any drips or runs. But yeah, we're going to have to put a cleat here and a cleat here. The other option is I can put the cleats on the sides. Honey, yeah, we got, where's that bag of cleats? Our bag of hoops and cleats. Okay, we got to put hoops on too. So, you know, when I say hoops, I'm talking about these things here that we clip all of our carabiners to on the sides of the boat to hold the tarpaulin on, and whatever else we want to attach to it. So I got my hoops out. I just happen to have 9 of these big ones, which I only need 8, so I got to order some more before we do the other hole, but that's plenty. I'm just going to put 2 on here. I put 1 here-ish on here on the outside, and 1 here opposite it. Will bolt right through the side in the 2x4 and into this one. The nuts will be on this side, because you can see we kind of epoxy over all the screw heads and where this mounts here, all this here, to strengthen it, and also to keep rust out, because these washers we have will rust. I think they're 202 grade, not 304 grade. Certainly not 316. This may be 316, and they claim these are 316, and they seem to be, because I never see them rust. I do see the screws trying to rust on those. So there may be 304. I don't think they're 202, because 202 would be really rusting a lot. So anyway, we got all we need. Bless me. So yeah, so these go opposite on the side. Oh yeah, we'll put 1 here too. 1 here, like that. And we angle them because it's easier to clip. The clip angled, and of course we angle it with the boat. We'll angle these here and here, like that. And we can clip onto whatever we want to clip onto here. Not heavy stuff, but anything, other stuff, we can clip onto here. Minor ropes and stuff, but this is solid. This is solid 2x4 red Loire on here. So this thing, and 3/8 inch plywood nailed into 2 2x4s here, and so it's and epoxied solid everywhere. Everything is just like a block of concrete, better than a block of concrete, because I think concrete will crack. And now we're going to be pre-painting. So before we paint, we're going to do some sanding on the old white part of the hull. I've got some 60 grit sand paper. I wish I had heavier, but I've got 36 on this thing, but maybe I could make that work somehow. Let me try the 60 first, and then we'll go. See, these are the 60s here. There's a P60. So anyway, I'm going to see if we can get this. See this algae line here? You see that kind of a brownish greenish algae line? Brownish now, was green. And that is where the copper coat's going to go. It's going to go all along that line there, above it, about an inch or so above it. And so I want to get that really prepped good and primered now. And then we do the, after that, we do the copper coat. Okie doke, people. We sanded it, and whoo, was it a job. The cool thing is, you know, I've got my lithium battery, 100 amp hour, and we're running two sanders, vibrating sanders. And I was a little afraid it would overcurrent the thing, but it didn't. And we did the whole, both sides, top to bottom, of all the sides. A little bit of the inside that needed some touch up. And right when I got done with my side, and Lindy was pretty much done with her side, we just had this, her primered part over there wasn't sanded, but we got this little hand sander handle thing that's great, man. You got to get one of those. It's a handle like a, like when they smooth the concrete. Well, it's like that, but you can clip. There it is, that blue handle one right there. But you can clip a piece of sandpaper in that, and man, you can knock out so much sanding. But we don't do it by hand. That's not our game. Hey, let that machine do it. It's hard enough. I mean, I'm just sopping wet bottom to top. Lindy's sweating. I've never seen her sweat like this before. And there's no wind, and it's a beautiful day. If we were in the ocean cruising around with our little top on the boat, we'd be in paradise, folks. But anyway, back to this. So we got her all sanded. She's brushing all the dust off, and after this, we're gonna epoxy primer the whole, all the sides, and whatever epoxy is exposed, and the inside of the back there that wasn't already epoxy primered, and whatever there's bare epoxy. We got to primer that too. So. Dun, 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 dun. We are ready to go to battle, baby. We got the Battleship Gray happening. That's the primer. The epoxy primer, not primer, but epoxy primer. And that's definitely what you want. Honey, did you do the side of these? Because it doesn't look like the side's done.
I did. Yes.
Doesn't look gray. Nope. Okay, well, anyway, this is the Battleship Gray. I had to check her side. I don't know if she did the side of the fins like I did on my side. So anyway, yeah, Battleship Gray, and it's epoxy primer. So it's, we've got a part A and B mixture. We used less than a gallon, but not much less than a gallon, because we had done some primering of something before. And I don't know what. Yeah, honey, this far side is not, I didn't get that, honey. That's splotchy. See the far side? It's splotchy. You got a brush that's good?
I already threw away the brush.
Well, so anyway, we can live with that. That was painted in anyway, so we got a double. We didn't go all the way back here because we didn't drip any epoxy back there, so we're not going to repaint. That's already been primered, waterproof, primered, and epoxied, and epoxy enamel, the whole shooting match. That's got the whole shooting match done to it. So we're not messing with that right now. I think that's a leaf. Yeah, got a leaf in there. And I just put my arm on here, so that just goobered that thing. So anyway, I think you're gonna fix something and you screw something else up. So otherwise, I think we're looking pretty spiffy. Pretty spiffy, our Battleship Gray. If we got a little, like, even a 20 or 30 caliber up at the front there. One of those, I don't know if you need a Browning or one of those Gatling gun things, but it'd be a force to be reckoned with. Yeah, you see that Well, okay, we're in the middle of painting this. And you see that part's gray and this part right here is white. We got this much painted just with the first coat here. So she's back to being white, and after this she'll be two-tone. She'll be white up here and like a grayish for the copper coat on the bottom half where the water line is, going down. Bottom 10, 12 inches, about halfway up, it'll still be gray. So anyway, the other thing is watch your brushes. Those rollers, these little roller things, some of them are just dump their fur balls all over the place. See that? You're dumping the fur balls everywhere. And you got to come back and pick all those off, or they'll dry with a hard little thing there. And I don't know if you can see that tree there, but all that white paint on there, those are all the 25 things that I had to pick off just the front section there from this roller that I got. These are red, white, and blue. The other ones I got, I think, were green, had a green stripe around them, like a barber pole type stripe. Those were better than the red, white, and blue. So I don't know what the brand is, but just, you know, by the color, the green, and I think green and yellow stripe ones were better. See, these are red and white and blue. See the stripes? So beware, red, white, and blue, no good. You'll be wasting half of your time painting, trying to pick all the fuzz off. So I'm gonna let Lindy do that because she's got little pointy fingers. Honey, I'll do all the back stairs and all that stuff. You just do the side. Okay, so I gotta get busy because we got some runs. I gotta re-roll over. See, there's a run right there. I gotta re-roll over. There's a run right there. So I gotta go back and forth and make sure that we get a nice smooth coat. So Paradise out. Okay, I got the front part of the boat done there, and I stopped here and didn't do this one here yet because I have to belly up to this side here to do the inside and get all of that, get back there and stuff. I have to lean on this, so I'm not doing this side yet. I'm going to get all this completed with all the coats it needs. Right now I'm thinking 2 coats is good, but I may do a third. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how this looks and how the afternoon is turning out. It's only 1 o'clock. Yeah, it's only 1 o'clock, so we're doing good time-wise. So we may let this dry and then put another coat on, or maybe not, because we are going to put another coat on with a copper coat on the bottom half of this. So we'll see. We'll see how we feel after we get done with all this. We got plenty of paint, so I'm not worried about quantity of paint. I'm just working on quality, but you can see nice and shiny. Like I said, it looks like a gel coat shine on this epoxy enamel, which is really nice. So anyway, I gotta get back to painting. Got a little more paint in my bucket. How you doing over there? No, as far as your side, is it done?
Not yet.
Okay. Okay, she's still about where I'm at. Got to get that back part a second time. So Paradise out. Okay, now she's all white. White. And again, the shadows from the Shade Tree Yacht Club, it looks like a camouflage military paint job. But trust me, it's white. It looks like, doesn't it look like gray and white, you know, like a navy camo job there? Well, it's just white. So everything is white inside. We didn't paint inside the hull. We did do a little trim work on the border, top border, just to make it prettier. But once you get all your stuff in there, you don't see the side anyway. The bottom, we got trying to get it all glassy, putting thick coats on. We painted our cleats white because otherwise they're just splotchy chrome and not white, and we'll see what happens with them if they chip all the paint off or not. But it's easy to, you just take a razor and scrape all the paint off if you don't want paint on there. So, okay, maybe now you can see the white. yesterday the sun was coming through the shadow and all the shadows of the trees and the leaves. See, like on that tarpaulin there, but it's all blotchy and stuff. That's just the shadows and the holes through the leaves and there too. But it's not so much on the side of the boat now, so you can see how white it is. It's like white, which is cool. I like it. Okay, folks, today, full speed, honey. Today is Copper Coat Day. So as you can see, we masked off this area here. You can barely see the masking tape. It's kind of a light color. And below there is the epoxy coat. Well, it is epoxy enamel mixed with copper coat. We're mixing the hardener with the epoxy paint right now, getting it all mixed up, and then we're gonna, this is our color board that tells us what color we need to have the paint mixed to, and it's this color right here, this darker gray, the darkest gray we have. That's the best mixture. And these are all the test mixtures here. I wish they were in order, but I didn't know I'd run out of board before I got to the correct mixture, so I was just kind of jumping around. But anyway, so we're aiming at after this gray right here for the correct amount of copper coat and copper oxide, raw copper and copper oxide. That's what we're shooting for. So we got about a half a gallon of epoxy enamel we're mixing up right now. And the reason we have to match the color is because we never know exactly how much paint we have. There's no measurements on there. You just eyeball and think you're at about half of what the gallon is, or 2/3 or whatever. You have to eyeball it. So the only way we can be sure as to whether we got the right ratio for whatever that volume happens to be is color board. So that's what we're shooting for, that color right there. So, and we got our copper, raw copper there. We got our copper oxide there. And we got another liter of copper oxide and copper raw if we need additional. That's about half, and that's about a pound, and that's about a pound right now. Half a liter. So, okay, folks, I've got 7 pretty big spoonfuls. This is the spoon I'm using. It's bigger than a tablespoon. Just the next size larger spoon. And I put about 7-ish sort of big ones, and we're not even close to the full amount, but I'm just mixing them in as we go, so it's easier to blend them and they don't get all clumped up. So the black over here is the copper oxide. I can't get paint on that because then it'll stick to it. It's a copper oxide, the black. It's really not black. It's actually like a copperish color. You can kind of see the pinkish. See how the light shows through? It's pinkish. It's actually a pinkish, but it's so dark that it looks black when you look at it just in general. And then the other is the raw copper, which we have right here. That's 1 kilo of raw copper. It's only about half a kilo now. That's about half a kilo there too. So anyway, raw copper kills. They did a test with salmon embryos, salmon the fish embryos, to see which copper kills the embryos. Now that has nothing to do with barnacles and shells and stuff that stick to the bottom of your boat, because stuff that sticks to the bottom of your boat is what you're trying to kill. But the copper, raw copper, was more effective at killing by about 1%, or 1.5% more effective at killing salmon. It's the stupidest test, but that's what they did, and that's all the data I could find. So anyway, raw copper is more effective, but copper oxide is stable. So the raw copper will corrode and degrade and kind of fall apart. The copper oxide is more stable. So we got best of both worlds. They got the longevity of the copper oxide and the potency of the raw copper. Okay, so that's what we're up to. Paradise. I gotta mix this now, get it all blended, and then I'll add more and more and more until we match that color right there. Paradise out. Okay, everybody, this is our little mixing wand thing, how we're doing this. You can see all the little copper whipping around in there. I can't put it on full speed now because that copper is just dust. I mean micro dust. When I say dust, I mean micro dust. You put it on your hands and it's just like a slippery, like graphite almost. especially the oxide. The oxide is actually pharmaceutical grade for putting into, little gel caps, as, like a nutritional additive. That's what the copper oxide is. Same as like if you're taking magnesium supplements, iron supplements. Well, there's copper supplements also, but don't take too much, because too much of iron or copper or magnesium can be detrimental and cause weird health symptoms. So don't play games with this stuff. This is for mixing paint. That's all I'm doing here, mixing paint. You can see it. Get a little closer, honey. Yeah, you can see the copper, the raw copper, and then the black oxide all getting blended in here. So anyway, that's what I'm doing, and I'll keep doing that with multiple mixers. I've got 7 of each spoon in here now, and I'm going to have to get up to, I think, 28. I think 4 times 7 is 28. That's 28 each. That would be 56 total, or maybe it's more. Maybe it's 60-something spoons total. 30, 32, what is a multiple of 7? 5 times 7 is 35. That'd be 70. So it's somewhere around there. This is about a half a gallon of paint here. So that's kind of just a ballpark estimate. So you kind of know if you're kind of getting in the ballpark of getting to the right color. I don't have a weight amount that I put in a half a gallon, because again, I don't know, this is exactly 1/2 gallon, and this is a DIY. And I just got all my information from online forums, and also the Copper Coat brand, how much epoxy resin they give you for the kit, and how much copper raw. They don't use oxide, they just use the raw that they give you. And so that kind of is my guideline. I'm just going to do what they do, because they're really the best if you're going to have to pay, but you're paying a lot. I'm paying a couple $100 for all of this, and you would be paying, I don't know, 1,000 more if you're going to mix the same amount as me. So anyway, Paradise out. I got to add some more. Paradise out. Okay, folks, we have got 3 sets of 7 of each copper oxide and copper raw in those are the spoons again in here. We're matching, the colors, and this color here looks pretty close to that one there. This is the medium. This is about halfway through. See, this is the darker one, so you can see this is, well, it's hard to see because there's kind of like a shadow in the paint bucket, but I can tell. This is it's more like this shade here, and if we get back, you can see the differences in the shades. More like this one where my thumb is thumping than this one where we need to be. So I think we're almost halfway there, but it's been gradually going from this one to this one to this one now, because we're on our 3rd set of spoons, and next we may hit this one pretty soon here. So that's our goal. So, and you can't, I mean, the only way you could put too much would be if it got clumpy and like mud. If you just had too much material in there, that it wouldn't spread on like smooth paint. So as far as effectiveness, you could probably put more than what I'm putting in here, but I'm just kind of shooting for like a happy, like what I think is a happy spot, and what matches with the online forums and what Copper Coat does with theirs. So the ratios. Paradise out. Okay, folks, we got the right color mixture of the paint, and I was wrong about this color being the one we used. We actually used this one here, the darker one. That matches, because this is where we rolled it on accidentally on the board, and that's the color we need to match, not this one. This is too light. This one is the good one. So anyway, we're doing it, starting right there. And the interesting thing is, when you pick up a bucket of paint, it weighs so much. But we've added 2 pounds roughly of copper into here. So now the bucket of paint is heavy. It weighs a lot more. You can actually tell there you've got stuff in there. So anyway, I'm rolling it on. We're trying not to make a mess, and we got to watch for runs and stuff. Same as when we paint the white. So we got to get busy. Lindy's doing that side, I'm doing this side, and we're going to town. I got the back here done with just the first coat like that, and you can see we got runs all over the place here. So I got to come back and touch that up. I got to roll on top of that. You see those runs? Yeah. Okay. The paint's heavy and thick because of all the copper we put in it. So I had to get to work. No fooling around. Paradise out. You'll get to see the finished product. Bye for now. Okay, folks, we got the first coat of copper coat on, and I don't know if you can see like a pinkish hue a little bit to the colors, and that if the sun was out it'd flash more, but the pinkish is the copper right there mixed with the white and the oxide. So that's what we want. Plenty of pink. Alrighty, we are back at the boat, and this is the result of our copper coat. And again, you can see kind of the pinkish hue there, or violet, whatever color you want to call it. I don't know if you can pick it up everywhere, but when the sun hits it, it'll reflect off of that copper. Not the oxide makes it gray, but the copper, raw copper, gives it like a little sparkle, like a little reflective pinkish hue or violet hue, whatever. And I guess gray and goldy copper color mix makes maybe a violet. I don't know. That's what color we see. Also, on one of our putty knives, we got some paint on it, and my wife went to clean it, and it came out looking like, oh, here, and you can see the copper right here where she scraped it off. The copper is under the paint there. See it on the side there? Right there on the side. So yeah, there's copper definitely setting in the paint there. Definitely in there. So it laid to the bottom, so it settled out a little bit. But on the vertical surfaces, I don't know what that's going to do, but on the flat surfaces like the bottom, it's probably got more copper closer to the hull than it does on the surface. But that's what they do when the effectiveness of the copper coat kind of mellows. They take and wet sand it with 600 grit sandpaper, and that takes the surface off of the paint and exposes more copper that's, you know, underneath it. So voila, shows you exactly why they do it. Paradise. Anyway, there it is. And we're going to paint we're trying to find some blue paint, maybe the blue of the battery there, the lithium, and make a little 1/4 inch white stripe between the gray and the blue will be about a 1.5 inch stripe, roughly, going all the way straight down, all the way around, of course, front and back. You know what I mean. So that's it for now. We are charging the battery for the drill because we didn't charge it yesterday, and now we can only drill about 2 holes and the battery goes dead. Then we have to charge it for 5 minutes just to get another 2 holes drilled, and then charge it for 5 minutes. We could, I guess, charge it for 10 and get 4 holes drilled, possibly. I don't know. But anyway, we're doing that kind of charging with it now, trying to get it to just because all we got is 1 more hole to drill. No, 3 more holes to drill. We got to get through that one. That one hit a nail, so it's a bronze nail, so it should just drill right through it. And over here, we got to do the same holes on this side here. We got them marked right there, the little 2 blue fang marks there. So that's it, and then we can epoxy it all, and we're done for the day. We've got all of our cleats and hoops on. So that's it, folks. We are babysitting the charger, and we'll be back once all this is done, you can see we fill these holes with epoxy, and we fill the threads of the screws with epoxy. We just load this up, and then we basically screw it through there to keep the epoxy inside the hole. And then once we're done, we epoxy, once the nuts and everything are screwed and tight now, we epoxy over the nuts on both sides, both the screw heads and the nuts, epoxy on there to seal out any moisture, so we don't have to deal with rust or corrosion. It seems the washers aren't as good as stainless as the hoops are. The hoops are 316 and they never rust that I've seen. But the washer that we use between the hoop and the hole to give it more area to push against the hole, they're not as good of a grade as the hoops are. So they'll get a little tiny bit of flash rust and stuff on them. So this epoxy helps seal that out. So anyway, that's it. That's it, folks. Drilling holes, well, waiting for the battery to charge, and then drilling hole piece by piece. Paradise. Oh. Okay, folks, we are back after working overtime and at nighttime doing our epoxy, putting on our hoops and epoxying both the nuts around it so that they don't rust. That's massive. I wasn't really watching my wife do this that much, but you gotta smear this down into a smooth edge. She did okay, but again, we were working with our little solar powered lights that we have. They're little small, like little floodlights and stuff, and that's what we worked with last night. So we really couldn't see what we're doing that well, but nonetheless, I think we got the epoxy job done pretty good here. Pretty good. I did a little cut with my angle grinder, because see, I had to cut the ends of the bolts off because they stick out, and you cut your knee or your foot or something on those, so I angle grind those off at the top of the nut, and so everything is angle grind off. And when I did, the angle that I could get in here, I actually put a little nick in that. Not gonna hurt, it's fine. There's a little bump there where I touched it, but other than that, I think we did pretty good. Pretty good. So today we may paint a stripe on the side after we paint over the epoxy. And under here too, see, we've got these guys here that we need to epoxy over still, because it was nighttime and we really couldn't see nothing. And we ran out of epoxy, and I didn't want to mix more. And the lights were drawing mosquitoes and bugs of all kinds, so we just said let's deal with that tomorrow. So only these underside ones did we not take care of last night. And so I got to mix up a tiny bit of white paint, and then we'll use we don't have a tiny paintbrush. I think we do somewhere. We got to find it. And then we'll just touch up white paint on all of our little exposed epoxy things right here to blend it in with the white epoxy enamel. So, and then like I said, we got to do the paint stripe. We'll see how that goes and how we want to configure that one. So we'll be back with more from my paradise on Bantayan Island. This is the last steps here, folks, for this hole. After we paint this and paint a stripe around it, this hole's done deal, celebration. And then we got to get that hole. I want to take that hole and put it over here, but people claim certain areas, like this guy here, he always keeps his boat here, and that guy keeps his boat there, and that guy keeps, everybody's got their little, nesting area. And I want to use this flat area to work on that boat, because this is just a mess here. It's you trying to get around here, stairs, steps, rocks, trees. You got to try to squeeze between here and there to get to the other side. So anyway, we do have a good tarpaulin cover setup, which we'll leave. We'll leave this one here, and hopefully we can pick that one up and put him here. And we got a nice shade tree here. And we can probably hang a tarpaulin here that'll work nicely. And so we'll be good to go if we can put the other hull here and work on it. Probably have the back end going this way. Just kind of bring it around and point the nose that way and the back that way. And this is a nice flat area, ideally. Okay, people, you remember this was the hull we just completed. And that was where the other hull was. And now, boom, it's over here under the tree, flat ground where I can work on it. Yeah, hon, and Nick, this is Leo. I'll be back, folks. Paradise out. All right, everybody. As I was saying earlier, we moved the next hull over to here. So that will be a good place to work on it. And it was over there. We picked it up and brought it up on this pyramid thing, foundation, and put it up here. We talked to the owner of this, or the grandfather. They've got their own little niche, their own little nesting place where they put their boats. And we went to his house and asked him if it was okay if we parked our boat here while we worked on it. And we let him know it'd be a couple months. He said, yeah, no problem. He's really nice. Everybody here, and the general public is extremely nice. The government, that is, you'll find out if you ever come here. But anyway, we've got, this hole is pretty much cleaned, so we can start sanding this, and we can start epoxying. Well, we have to first we have to add this bottom section that sticks out. Or do we? No, I think we add the sides first. And do we add the sides first, or the bottom? And then we put the sides on? I don't think so. Well, we'll have to figure that out. We can look at the YouTube videos and see the order of events. But yeah, we got to do all that. We got to cut some of this, shave this off, shave a little piece of this off, shave a little bit of the inside off, do some shaving. But that's when we flip it. No, we got to do this one now. We got to do this one now. And this is one piece too, by the way. That one was two because we was going to do one, and then we decided to do the next. Decided to make them more height and make a compartment back there for the gas, because that was way smarter, having a gas compartment back there. So anyway, this is a finished product here.